All right, so before we start today's episode, I just got to give a big congratulations to Kyle Piakowski. I think I probably butchered your last name there, Cal. But, yeah, Cal Piakowski from Retrofit Cycle Works. He is the winner of the Cheap Thrills giveaway contest. I don't know if you remember a few episodes ago, we teamed up with Walter to give away a weekend at the Cheap Thrills show, which includes access to all the events and 2 nights hotel stay out in New Jersey. So big shout and big congrats to Cal. He's going to bring his old man. His father built like a resto chopper, an old 72. And so we congratulate them. Hope to see them both there. Coming up the end of this month in September here. Well, we're still technically in August today, but September's right around the corner, so we'll see you there. Now, if you're interested in supporting the podcast, please check out patreon.com/bigtruth, and you can go there and you can help support the podcast financially by becoming a member. And each level or each tier of membership comes with its own benefits and rewards and cool shit. And we do some giveaways. We got all kinds of stuff going on and a lot more planned in the works. I got to get some more stuff going back there, but I got some good ideas coming up for this fall once things slow down here at the shop and I can catch up and have a little bit of breathing room to do more fun shit. So, yeah, check it out, patreon.com/bigtruth. Now, if you are looking for motorcycle parts, you need to check out oldbikebarn.com. You know, whether you have a chopper or stock bike, cafe racer, desert sled, whatever, they got what you need. And it's cool because, you know, you can search by make, but you can also search by type of bike you're doing. And so, you know, they got a chopper part place section. They got a cafe racer section, things like that. So check them out, oldbikebarn.com. And especially if you got an old Japanese bike, they got a lot of the rare stuff that no one else has for old Japanese bikes. So check them out, oldbikebarn.com, on Instagram at oldbikebarn. Now, humidity's holding out, man, and if you got a swampy grundle, a dirty dingus, if your you know, Franks and Beans looks like it would be in a Woodstock documentary, then you need to get over to manscaped.com and get the Lawnmower 4.0, which basically is a ball razor. You know what I mean? There's no reason to mince words. Get over there and clean that area up because you don't want to deal with a hot, swampy mess, and no one else in your life that has access to that area wants to deal with that either. So do yourself a favor and do your significant other a favor and go over to manscaped.com and get the Lawnmower 4.0. And if you use the promo code BIGTRUTH at checkout, you get 20% off your order and free shipping. So can't lose there. If you have a need for CBD oil and or a curiosity about CBD oil and you don't know where to start because now there's thousands of manufacturers of it, a lot of it out there is garbage, you need to check out Cradle Lake Clear because they make organic CBD oil with the best ingredients through the best processes. And you can go on their website, cradlelakeclear.com, and check out all the information. A lot of technical information there. They do shit legit. You know, whether you got trouble sleeping or anxiety or depression or inflammation, you know, soreness, you know what I mean? Just anything like that, CBD oil will help. And you can check out, they got a bunch of different things. Every time I take it, I sleep very, very well, like an infant child. Well, not the infants that cry and scream all night, but like a baby, you know, like once you start sleeping all night and you get that heavy sleep, that's the sleep you get. So check them out, cradlelakeclear.com. Also, you want to check out Omerta at Omerta Mia. Oh, and sorry, at Cradle Lake Clear, if you put the promo code BIGTRUTH in checkout, you get a significant percentage off your order. So go check that out. Make sure you hit the promo code BIGTRUTH at checkout there. And while we're talking about promo codes and whatnot and saving money, go check out omertamia.com, the most legit streetwear brand out there. And they got, you know, anything you need, whether it's T-shirts, hoodies, socks, fucking scarves. I know it's still summer, you know, but some places winter's coming. You're not going to need to stock up, hats, whatever, man. Check them out, omertamia.com or at all the social medias is at Omerta Mia as well. They also got their own app, too, so you can check it out at the Apple Store and the Android Store. And use the promo code Big Truth at checkout there. You get 20% off your order. So you can be saving money left and right all over the place here. And, still looking for more clothes, check out Pitchfork at pitchforkny.com, mainstay in the punk, hardcore, and metal community for the last couple decades. They also do a record label and put out independent releases. They had a back-to-school 7-inch series with an East Coast punk or hardcore metal band on one side and a West Coast band on the other. They just did a new New York hardcore compilation LP. So check them out, pitchforkny.com. If you're into motorcycles and motorbiking and building choppers and riding and doing all that shit, you need to check out chopcult.com, the biggest information clearinghouse out there on the market for motorcycles, the biggest online community. They got message boards broken up by topic. They got online swap meet where you can buy and sell and trade parts. They got a board with all the events, like an events page with motorcycle events all around the world. Everything you need, go check them out at chopcult.com, and on all the social media, simply at ChopCult. Membership is absolutely free. And if you happen to be in the unfortunate situation where you find yourself in a motorcycle accident, you need to check out Law Tigers at lawtigers.com. They are a motorcycle accident law firm, specializes in specifically that. And they were founded by motorcycle riders for motorcycle riders. So check them out, lawtigers.com, or go on Facebook and type in Law Tigers plus your state, and you will get in contact with the local regional office for the people that would be directly handling your case. So check them out. Go to facebook.com and just type in Law Tigers and your state. So if you live in Maine, you'd say Law Tigers, Maine, and that's about it. And you'll get in touch with your local office. If you're into weird, arcane shit like fucking the occult and serial killers and stoner doom metal and fucking illicit drugs and psychedelics and 1970s style like show or boogie vans or choppers, any of these things that all interest you, you need to check out Heavy. And Heavy's a clothing company run by my man Zach Doom. Check them out at heavy.bigcartel.com, on Instagram at Heavy Clothing. They got some of the most badass designs that are out there, so you'll love that shit for sure. If you're looking for more motorcycle parts and whatnot, or swag or riding gear, any of that stuff, you can check out my shop, Chopperhead, at chopperhead.com. If you're not in the area, if you are in New England, we're a full-service brick-and-mortar motorcycle shop, so we can hook up your bike, anything you need, from an oil change to a full custom build, everything in between. We do it all. We got a showroom with riding gear, helmets. I mean, helmets, I don't know, with the whatever breaks there's been in the supply chain. Some full face helmets are hard to get right now, and we're going into fall, and that's what sucks. But I got Bell, I got Simpson, I got Biltwell, whatever. Come in, try shit on. We'll do our best to get you something if I don't have your size in stock. We got riding gear, parts. We're pretty much set up with everybody, so if there's something you need and you don't see it on the website, just give us a call or shoot us an email at truth@chopperhead.com. And we'll get you all situated. And if you don't hear back from me, just call again or shoot another email over. It's been super hectic lately. Just been running around full, 100% full bore. And if you need more information on the podcast, just check out bigtruthpodcast.com. That's about it. We got a good one today, so keep it locked.
Sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have a liftoff.
Yeah, once again, we have liftoff. I want to thank you for tuning into this episode of the Big Truth Podcast, and I'm stoked to have my man Tim Howley in the house, in residence today. It's not on the phone, and you might know him from a band called Fit for an Autopsy, or from Tombstone Hardware, First Manufacturing, Thrash and Throttle podcast.
Everything.
He's a renaissance man with his hands in a little bit of everything in the motorcycle and music worlds. That's why he's a perfect fit to have on here today, and I'm stoked to have you over here, man.
Hell yeah.
How you doing? broadcasting live from the third lift at Chopperhead Customs.
I love it. I love this whole podcast setup is just awesome to me.
It's like the most, like, I'm always like I've been on other people's that, and some of them have like a whole studio and stuff, and then I feel weird, but then I'm like, you know what, like you're gonna feel more comfortable here than if, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, that's the cool part about, you know, this whole setting is, like you said, you have the shovel and a pan and a couple Evos in the background, and we're just all sitting in a shop, which most of the time those conversations are the best conversations, just sitting around the shop with your friends,
shooting the
hanging
shit.
out.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like an artificial environment for some shop talk.
Exactly. It's legit.
It's a little different when I get like, because, you know, I'll do music guys or like motorcycle guys, but every now and then I throw like a weird scientist in the mix, and like, you know, it's like you know,
they're like, where am I?
What
am I doing here? So I feel out of place.
Yeah, luckily most of those have been well, not luckily, but just because of travel and whatnot lately, most of those have been over the phone anyway. But down the road, that one will be interesting.
Yeah, it's
and I don't get no travel budgets to fly people in or anything.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You know, eventually, I mean, the podcast is doing well, so eventually you will get to that point.
Well, that's the goal, man. Like, just to be able to expand it where we could do more, like, because if you know how it is, man. If you had a budget behind you to do shit like that,
yes,
we could do killer fucking shit.
Oh,
you know
yeah,
what
like
I mean?
allocating those budgets to build and grow, because realistically your podcast is your business. It's just another business adventure, you know. So for you to allocate funds for it, and, you know, if it's making you a little extra cash either through sponsorships or something like that, you know, you can take it and say, hey, I'm going to take $400, fly this guy out round trip, have him crash at my house, and have a solid conversation for an hour and a half.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, no, it's true, and it's you know, that's what we gotta get to, and that's why I give big shout outs to all the sponsors and all the Patreon members, man, because you guys are making it happen. I
actually it was funny when you hit me up about doing the podcast last year.
Yeah, I
had a close friend of mine hit me up. She was just like, hey, like, I'm super stoked, like, to hear you on the podcast, blah 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 blah. I was like, how did you find out? Like, how do you know? Like, we just talked about this like 4 hours ago, you know, and I guess it was something you posted on the Patreon, like, hey guys, like, just talked to Tim, he might be on the podcast or blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's the type of stuff, that insider information that, you know, people always want to know. That's the stuff that helps build your podcast as well, because you're like, oh, wow, like, I can get that insider information and know what's going on before everybody else does.
Yeah. And just try and like, and be a way for them to have a voice on the podcast as well. Because like sometimes I'll say, hey, this guy's going to come through. You got any questions you want to ask? And sometimes there'll be some really funny questions or good questions, you know? Yeah. And, you know, it's just right now, man, money's a thing, but time is the biggest resource that's so tough.
Trust me,
trying to get these out regularly. I'm still like, the end of the summer, like, kind of like run on like motorcycle shops. So we got like 3-4 pages of people backlog trying to get bikes in to do shit. And it's like, damn, dude, it's like, I don't have the money for an assistant, but I need an assistant.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Just like to help me manage all this shit.
That's what the word intern is for.
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, like, you know, you come in and do a little things like, you know, you'll learn the business.
Yeah.
Get free labor.
Hey, anyone that's interested in becoming a podcast and social media intern, hit me up.
Yeah, it's hard, man, and you know, I feel you on a real level when you're talking about time, because with me, with doing the band stuff and, you know, even the social media stuff with First, you know, that's a 9-to-5 job.
Sure.
So last year, my buddy Pat hit me up and he's like, hey, listen, like, are you interested in...
Pat's in the house, by the way.
Pat's literally sitting right
Shout
next to me hanging out. We just got back from Deadbeat Retreat, so like, you know, we're ripping back from Maine. Yeah. And it's funny because he hit me up and he's like, hey, do you want a job? Because you're going to be home for a while because of all the COVID shit. And I was like, you know what? Why not? Let me see what I can do, because I know that I'm good at social media and I know that I do it well. So I'm like, all right, well, it's kind of another puzzle to figure out. Why not? And I started doing that last August. It's been a year, but that's, like I said, it's a 9-to-5 job. Yeah. So everything else that I'm trying to do, whether it be Tombstone or my leatherwork or, you know, stuff like that, I haven't done like custom leatherwork and you know, custom pieces in over a year, basically. Like, I've done small things here and there, but I really haven't had the chance to do it because I just don't have the time.
I forgot. Sorry for forgetting to mention the leather. I can't even keep up with all your hustles, dude. You know what I mean?
So many things. So many things. You know.
No, I get it, man. Same here, man. To survive in our world, in our little subcultures, which are like little subgenres of even bigger, like not only part of music or motorcycles, we're like part of these smaller subgenres of those things.
Yes, exactly.
Like you could have multiple hustles to keep it going. That's why I get the tattoo shop and I do the laser removal because, you know what I mean? So I can keep everything kind of going, you know, and fucking, so it's the same. Yeah, I get it.
When you think about it, us growing up in the hardcore and the metal world, you know, you realize that when you're playing in bands, that is not going to be your only source of income.
Yeah.
And if you want it to be your only source of income, you need to supplement all of your other income and do kind of small other little things and have those side hustles.
Yeah.
So that you can continue to do that and invest your time into it. Honestly, my dad always said, he's like, look, get a good job and make money so that you can do the things that you want to do. So that's why I was like, all right, well, clothing company, cool. Leatherwork, cool. I know that I can make all the money that I need to pay my bills by doing that stuff. And it doesn't hinder my time in the band.
Yeah.
You know, so finding side hustles that work. And now I'm doing social media for First. And I just picked up a weekend gig doing social media for a couple restaurants out east on Long Island, which, you know, that's just extra money coming in, even though it's something that I know how to do. And I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll schedule out all your stuff for the month. No problem.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, because I'm just interested in this position. It was like a social media manager or something for another company, because as someone that owns a shop and then, you know, I'm kind of got my hands in everything. Like, I know I don't handle social media right, you know what I mean, at all. Because I just like every now and then I'm like, oh yeah, shit, I should take a picture of that, put it up, you know what I mean? But like, what's kind of like the job description and like the day-to-day kind of like activities? Because I'm like, how do you fill up a 9-to-5 day of like social media? Like, you know what I mean? Like, just curious, you know?
So especially in the motorcycle world, you have to keep up with motorcycle trends.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously we're selling motorcycle leathers for First Manufacturing. So, you know, I need to figure out, all right, well, a lot of people are now into Dynas and FXRs and the bagger thing. So
yeah, like the performance stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So what am I going to do, or what could we post about that people are like, all right, you know, I'm feeling this content on a real level. You know, I'm identifying with this content, you know, and it's kind of a game for me. So, you know, usually I come into work once a month. What I'll do is I'll compile all my content for the month. So I'll say I want to post 45 photos for the month. I want to do on a Monday, I want 2 photos. Tuesday, I want 1. Wednesday, I want 2 photos. And I do, you know, staggering days. So I take 45 photos, compile those, and then I map out, all right, you know, Monday I'm going to do, you know, I do every other post. I do a product post and then something else, then product post and something else. So every other post is a product, whether it be men's jackets, women's jackets, custom vests, denim, you know, anything like that. And then like once I map that stuff out and that stuff's done and it's scheduled and all that stuff like I know is going to do well, then I fill in the holes and I say, all right, well, all my stories I can't schedule. So my Instagram stories, I'm like, all right, well, I got to post about, you know, daily I would post about, you know, what new feature did we come out this week? What new vest did we come out with this week? You know, what events are coming up?
Yeah.
Events are massive.
Sure.
So we just went out to Sturgis, hung out for, I think it was like 7-8 days, something like that. But when we got out there, I had a schedule for every day. Every single day I was like, all right, well, you know, Sunday is going to be Bell Brawl. Like we're riding Saturday, so I'm going to get GoPro footage and stuff like that Saturday. Sunday is going to be Bell Brawl, so I'm going to get all footage that day. Monday's the Hardcore Cycle show. Tuesday, we didn't really have a set plan. And then Wednesday was the V-Twin Visionary show. So every one of those shows I needed to take photo and video at, and that stuff's going to stretch out for 3-4 months.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, if I'm not posted and having that massive amount of content, you know, for a shop like this, you can literally have somebody come in and just take photos of the shop, like hundreds of photos of the shop. And every day you could just schedule something out being like, oh, you know, we're here till 6, come grab a t-shirt or come grab a vest or some, you know, something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, see, I get weird, man, like about it, because I'm like, motherfuckers gonna get sick of seeing some shit, but I don't think, but it's not the case, right?
If people are following you, they're following you for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, and we were just talking about it before. We gained 200 followers this weekend on the first page, or sorry, 300 followers on the first page. We lost 150.
Yeah.
You know, so you lost half that because of whatever reason.
Yeah.
But you're still gaining more people. You're gaining new people.
Yeah, yeah.
You're always going to lose followers certain days, and you're always going to gain followers other days. There's some days where you'll lose 10 followers, but you'll gain 300. There's some days where you'll gain 10 followers and lose 300.
Yeah, it's real bizarre.
It's very weird.
Yeah.
You know? But it's a puzzle. It's literally a puzzle, and I think that's why I enjoy doing it.
Yeah. And then I know some people get deep in, like, they research, like, when the best time to actually release certain content is, and they know that shit down to, like, a science, like, and they get it scheduled out, like, oh, this one's going to come out Wednesday at 10 at night because it's going to hit Europe in the morning or some bullshit, you know what I mean?
I do the same thing. I do the same thing. I'm like, all right, well, I'm not going to post on my personal page after 8 o'clock at night because there's less people on Instagram.
Yeah.
There's more people on the West Coast, but people on the East Coast are either, getting ready for bed or, doing they're eating dinner, they're done, So it just depends.
Because, like it or not, most people are looking at this shit while they're at work. At their 9 to 5 jobs and shit, you know what I mean?
They're trying to pass that time. They're either in the bathroom, on the toilet, just scrolling Instagram. Stuff like that. So, it's a puzzle for me, and that's why I think I like it.
That's cool, man. Yeah. Yeah, because it's like crazy because I know some shops that do have like full-time like social media people. Yeah. Like just like this type of shop. Like I understand it like in a manufacturing type world, like, you're like distributor and like wholesaler and stuff. But sometimes the shop stuff is like, it's hard to see. I think you need almost someone like that sometimes that can see it from a different set of eyes.
Yeah.
Where like, I'm so ingrained in it. I'm like, I don't care. You know what I mean? But they're like, no, someone would find that interesting. But I'm like, I don't give a shit. This is what I see all day, every fucking day.
There's certain dudes that, whether they're fabricators or something like that, where they'll post, a picture of a small little part that they made.
Yeah.
And the post will do well and it's decent, but it's not like a full picture that people are like, oh, that's a cool photo. You know, it's kind of a shitty picture, but the content is good.
Yeah.
So like, other fabricators and stuff like that will see it and be like, oh, that's kind of cool. Let me like that.
Yeah.
But your average generic person that's going to follow your page, especially, for Chopperhead and stuff like that, they're just into motorcycles.
Yeah.
So having somebody come in and not necessarily staging a photo shoot, but like having him just be around the shop, taking photos of somebody just working on a bike.
Yeah.
And taking 20, 30, 40 photos, that can stretch you 3 months.
Yeah, yeah.
If there's 20 photos of that, 20 photos of this, 20 photos of that, it'll stretch out forever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Something to think, and this is good for so many people probably listen and have their own business or something. This is important shit to kind of hear about or to know about if you want to play the game. Because unfortunately, you kind of got to play the game nowadays. Like
social media it's free advertising.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that are a big pay to play type of deal.
Yeah.
Where the more you're putting in, the more ad dollars you're putting into stuff, the more people are going to see it.
Yeah.
But if you have good content and you're not being a dick on the internet, like, people are going to be like, you know what, I'm into this. I'm gonna subscribe to what they're doing. Yeah.
See, the ads are a whole different thing. I get weird about that. We don't really do that because I know sometimes if I see someone that says sponsored, I kind of just go scroll past it. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? But I don't know. It's a funny world, man.
Well, business wise, they say that somebody needs to see your stuff 7 times before they buy something.
Oh, really?
That's like, it's like a psychological thing, that becomes a constant in their brain, where it's like, oh, I'm seeing this all the time.
Yeah.
It's if so many other people are, buying from them or so many other people are subscribing to what they're doing and they like the product, it's got to be good.
Yeah.
As soon as you get that popularity down, honestly, man, even if your product is dog shit,
it'll still sell.
It's still going to sell. I mean, dude, look at Beats by Dre. They're not the best headphones out there. They're decent, but they're $300 headphones when you can get headphones for $100 that are way better.
Yeah.
You can either go, Shure or Sennheiser or something like that. Us in the audio world, we know that.
Yeah.
But
it's branding.
Exactly. Yeah. Once you get, you know, popular people to wear your stuff or be seen with your stuff, with your product, it doesn't matter if the product's good or not, as long as, you know, they believe it's good.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
No, it's true, man. Yeah, it's you know, same could be said in the chop world. There's sometimes where some parts, some companies do better than others, and it's like, well, you know, there's better stuff.
Oh,
cheaper, but you know,
well, dude, how many companies now in the motorcycle world, they just order their stuff from overseas, slap their name on it, and just resell it for exorbitant amounts of money. Yeah. You know, and it's kind of crazy. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm all for the hustle.
Yeah.
But be honest, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. Like, and that's why it's tough, like for me, like it's tough, man, because I'm like trying to be everything American made as much as I can.
Yeah.
And it gets harder and harder to do that.
Yeah.
Like by the year it gets harder.
Yeah.
And it's like even like our oil tanks, we make custom oil tanks and I'm the one making them.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, I'll get slammed with orders and I got to make like 20 of them. And I'm like, dude, each one of these made one by one by fucking hand here. You know what I mean? And it's like, I get it when, you know, I'm never going to be able to expand those oil tanks unless I find people that I trust that I can have work here and bang them out all day for me. Yeah. You know what I mean? But, or I have
limit
to
work. You limit your work.
I limit the work.
You know?
And or you know, I can't go full bore on advertising because if I got an order for 200, if I got 200 orders, I'd be like, I can't do anything for the next month and a half.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And
exactly.
Like, and you can see there's a million things going on in here. It's a madhouse running a shop, dude. It sucks. Yeah, it's awesome, but it sucks.
I think your brain and my brain work in the same way where, like, you know, we always want to do something else that's really cool as well.
Yeah.
So, like, we get scatterbrained and we want to go out and, like, I want to do a podcast. I want to do leather work. I want to do a clothing company. I want to do a band. I want to do this, that, the other thing. Yeah. And then you get to the point where you have no time and you're, like, dividing all your time up into little increments in the little things. Where, like, I learned to say, all right, well, I'm going to put everything on the back burner except this one thing, and I'm going to focus on this one thing. And once you get that one thing up to the point where it runs itself, then you're like, okay, cool. Now I can start on the next thing. Yeah. You know, like with Tombstone, I had, you know, so many ups and downs over the last 8 years with the company because either I was on tour or bad business dealings or something like that. And, you know, it got to the point where I was like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Yeah. And this year, because of COVID and, you know, all that stuff, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take it. I'm going to do kind of like a last hurrah. And I worked on it. I stopped doing the leather work. I stopped doing the podcast. I was still doing the first stuff. But it got to the point where I was like, all right, well, let me focus on the Tombstone stuff and get it back on track. Yeah. And now it's like it's running itself. Like, you know, I'm not getting a crazy amount of orders, but I'm getting a decent amount of orders per week. And all I have to do is just go into my garage, pack stuff up, and get it out every Saturday. Yeah. You know, it's not like I'm shipping, you know, 500 orders out a month or a week or something like that.
And the thing is, the good thing with, like, if you are just doing a clothing company, if it gets to a point where it gets to that, you can even get yourself less involved and get a fulfillment company and then just have all your designs go through the fulfillment company. The hard thing here is that some guy orders an oil tank and a t-shirt. Yes. So I can't have the shirt come from some weird fulfillment company and then freaking do the oil tank, or they order like a weird part and a thing and that's where it turns hard. But that's where it gets hard. But like, it's cool because once the clothing stuff gets to a certain level, like then it makes more sense for you to kind of step out of doing the hands-on shipping and that stuff.
What's funny is that I worked with a couple fulfillment companies and ended up going back to doing it myself. Yeah. Because it got to the point where I was like, all right, well, you know, I'm losing out on, say, you know, $4 per order. Yeah. You know, and after a while it's like that adds up. Like 100 orders, that's $400. And it's like,
sure, yeah.
You know, that is another run of t-shirts.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
That's 50 shirts in one design. That's $400. Sure. You know, so it's costing, and it ends up, if you look at it that way, it ends up costing you more money because that $400, those 50 t-shirts at $20 a pop are going to make you $2,000. You know, or no.
Oh,
no.
Well, yeah,
however much. Yeah. I think no, maybe.
Well, I got a calculator right here on my phone. We can
50 times 2, or 50 times 20.
That should be right. That should be two.
No,
no, it's $1,000. It's $1,000. Yeah, I didn't even have to.
Yeah. My brain doesn't work. It's $1,000. But yeah, so like you're losing out on an extra $600 now.
Yeah.
So,
but here's the thing, the not being devil's advocate, but now say Fit for an Autopsy's on tour, all year, then it's like, but then and Tombstone starts to blow up, but then it would make more sense. But how it is now is it? Yeah. If you got the time to go and do that on Saturdays, then that's
exactly
awesome.
Yeah. If I was doing like 100 orders a month or something like that, like then it would be way different. I'm like, like I don't have the time for this. But doing 10, 20, 30 orders a month, I'm like, I'm okay with this.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, man. So, well, tell me, Tell us a little bit about Tombstone Hardware. I know it's your clothing company, but like, what's kind of like the story behind it?
So basically, what I wanted to do, 2013, the band that I was in, The World We Knew, broke up. We wanted to basically, I wanted to stay home, and like I was thinking about going back to college. I was 24. I was just like, whatever. And I just started riding motorcycles like 2-3 years before that. And at the time, I wasn't very involved in the motorcycle world as I am today. And the thing was, I wanted to start a clothing company that made clothes that I wanted to wear. And nobody was doing that at the time. Like you had like Rusty Butcher started around the same time, but they were just doing leather stuff. You had Dixon starting around at the same time, but like Dixon was just doing flannels, and it wasn't like you didn't have as many clothing companies as you do now. So I just wanted to make stuff that I enjoyed wearing. Sure. And I was like, I made 7 designs with a friend of mine. A friend of mine did all the designing for the t-shirts and stuff. I was like, hey, I want, a skull and this and, whatever. Yeah. And, it kind of snowballed into this thing. I was like, why not? And I grew the page to the point where it was like 20 grand and, or 20,000 followers or something like that. And it was a blast. I made a lot of friends from it. And then it got to the point where we started touring a lot, and I just couldn't keep up with it. And, this shit. And, now I'm like, all right, well, let me see if I can get it back on track and, start to party with it.
Yeah, man. And, and it's like tough, like, but it's good to have that for when shit like this happens, and no one expected to. Yeah. Everyone 2 weeks, everything back in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or whatever. No one expected it was going to be a year and a half. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it was good to have that something to, one, to occupy your time, and two, to bring in some income. Because when a band's not working, they're not making money, and there's only so much merch money out there. You know what I mean? And
you can't turn around for a year and a half and say, hey, like every week be like, buy our merch, buy our merch, buy our merch. And it gets to the point where you look like, you
should only have to say it 7 times.
Yeah, exactly.
7 times.
That's it. And it got to the point where, all of us sat down and we realized, like, man, like we're definitely not going to be on tour for a while.
Yeah.
And, because we had planned, we released a record released a record in, when was it? October of 2019. It was like October 25th or something like that. And then, we toured on that record in the States. Then we went to Europe in the beginning of 2020. And then when we got home, we had like 2 weeks off before we were supposed to hit the States with Diarta's Murder as well, because we did Europe with them and then straight into the States. And dude, we played one show. We got to Philly. We played the Philly show, and they were like, all right, go home.
Yeah.
And we realized that the next 8 months that we had planned of touring was pretty much like out the window.
Yeah. At least you get the tours on the record a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Like we got one full US and we got one Europe tour, which was cool. Yeah. And we had a blast with all the bands that we toured with. So that was cool. But it was kind of a bummer not being able to fully play that record.
Sure, yeah. How, this is I don't know, just an interesting question, because like you guys were starting to fucking blow, like fucking, like you guys were on like the rise, man. Like, like seeing you everywhere, you know what I mean? And
we're trying.
No, and it was cool. Like, cause you guys were doing like smaller tours and bigger tours, you know what I mean? And like, do you feel like there was like killing the momentum of that. You know,
5,000%, dude. Like, you know, we had so many things planned, and what's cool about being in the band and the band that we've you know, all kind of created, like, you know, we have two dudes that are basically running the machine and driving the machine.
Yeah, but that's like any band. You need one or two guys to really run it.
The rest of us are the wheels, you know? And as long as the wheels are greased and, you know, us four are doing our jobs, like the other dudes, like the top two dudes are just, you know, they're up front engineering, you know, driving the machine.
Yeah,
you know, so it's kind of cool being in a band full of guys that, you know, are like-minded and just want to kind of just grow and grow and grow and hit everybody full force.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
and you guys play an array of shows too, like, and which is good because you like you said, like, what I miss, like when I was younger and first getting into shit, there wasn't as many bands or as many genres, even you know what I mean? Because now there's so many. Think about how many fucking genres of metal there are.
I know.
And then how many genres of punk there are. And how many genres of subgenres of hardcore there are.
And a lot of them cross over, but a lot don't.
But when I was younger, you'd go to a show and there'd be like a metal band and a punk band and a hardcore band because there wasn't enough of everything.
There wasn't enough bands to go around.
And I felt like you guys did a kind of like an array. Like you guys reached out and touched a lot of different subgenres of the scene or subgenres of fans, which is smart, man. Well, I mean, look, that's what Hatebreed did, and look where the fuck they are, man. You know what I mean? Like they play any show, like, you know what I mean? Like, and that was the hustle. You know?
So when you think about it, about, you know, how many different genres there are, and when you think about all 6 members of our band, we all come from the same but different backgrounds. Yeah, you know. Yeah. So like our drummer, Hosian, he's from Puerto Rico. He came up here at 26 years old. He's like, I just want to play in a band. Yeah, yeah. You know, and he's just like, I got to, in order to do that, in order to play in a you know, a better band and you know, kind of explode and go out and tour, I got to move to this, you know, to mainland. Like I can't, you know, it's hard to make it in Puerto Rico.
Sure, it's hard to like get in a breakout band.
Yeah, and then you have Pat, who like grew up in the New Jersey and New York hardcore scene. You have Will that grew up in the New Jersey and New York hardcore scene. I was in, you know, I was on Long Island. I would go to shows in the city all the time, metal and hardcore shows. So, you know, you have all of us from the same worlds, but like, you know, in 2003, I was going to Children of Bodom shows, and I was going to like Swedish death metal shows. You know, where Pat in 2003 was just going to hardcore shows. And you know, when he was, you know, younger in like the 90s, he was going to go see Morbid Angel and shit like that at either L'Amour's or like something like that. Yeah. So you know, it's kind of cool when you have all of us talk about our experiences and the shows that we've been to and the shows that we loved. And we want to tour with our heroes. We want to tour with, you know, that's why we'll go on tour where it's like, all right, we just did a tour in 2018. I think you came to the show at the Palladium. It was us, Hatebreed, Obituary, Chrome Eggs, and Terror. Yeah, you know, I was and it was just absolutely insane. Being able to tour with all those bands, we all look up to those bands. Like I was seeing Terror when I was 13 years old on Long Island. You know, hearing be like, oh man, the last show that they played, like some dude got stabbed at. Like, you know, like you hear, you know, when you're a teenager. All the shit, exactly, you know. And then, you know, going to see Obituary and like hanging out with Trevor and all the Obituary guys and stuff like that, and Ken, like they're all awesome dudes. Yeah, yeah. You know, we've toured with so many bands over, you know, across every genre. Yeah, yeah. And that's what we want to do. We want to tour with everybody. Like everybody that we like and every band that we look up to, we want to tour them. We want to hang out. We want to play shows. You know, and we will also want to get bigger. So you know, we'll play. We'll play whatever. Yeah. Well, that's why it's crazy, right? Like you start seeing it a little bit more here, but like Europe with all those crazy festivals that are like it'll be like Iron Maiden, Danzig, and like Terror, you know what I mean? Or like, you know, like weird, like just weird. I mean, and plus 200 other bands, you know what I mean? On the the same thing. Those some of those festivals, man. Like we played at Walk-In. I remember we played right after. It was like we're maybe one or two bands after Steve Harris's British Lion. Yeah, which Steve Harris plays bass in Iron Maiden. So like, you know, it's kind of funny playing on a show where it's just like, okay. You know, that we would never in a million years be on a show together.
Yeah.
You know, but this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know, same thing with Ypres. We played in Belgium. We were talking about it before. You know, it was us. Hatebreed was headlining, but like Slapshot played, Napalm Death. Like, you know, we played with Napalm Death and like all these other bands. You know, we would never play on a show with Uli John Roth. That used to be in the Scorpions, and we played a festival with him.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Yeah,
it's so cool.
Yeah,
like, that's the cool. That's the cool stuff.
We were supposed to. My little side band there, American War Machine. We were supposed to be on it, the last one, but you know, fucking everything shut down. Yeah, everything shut down.
Dude, Ypres is a good time.
Yeah,
it's definitely a good time.
We did. You know, I got to see firsthand a lot of those fests when I went out on the road with Blood for Blood on their last European tour. And we did that one. I can't even remember where. It wasn't the Czech Republic one. There was another one that was like, it was funny because it was like Blood for Blood, but then all these like death metal bands.
It might have been maybe Metal Days.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, something like that.
It was in this like weird little village, like a gypsy like village. And like I just remember it was so fucking funny because the townspeople didn't want anybody coming into the town, and they kind of like.
It might have been Rockstadt then.
It might have been.
Because Rockstadt's in Romania. We played that festival. It was us and Opeth.
Yeah.
And like that was, I mean,
what's the venue like?
It was outdoors.
Yeah. I think that was it.
It was outdoors. It was outdoors, and it was like, it was in a park, but like the mountains were on either side.
Oh no, it wasn't there then. But yeah, I'll have to talk to Ian and figure out where some of those things were again. But it was so funny, man. Like those European fests are like the best.
Yeah, and what's cool is like you get to meet people that you've never met before.
Yeah,
that are in bands that you either look up to or something like that.
Sure.
Like meeting Nurgle from Behemoth and stuff like that. Like that dude, when he's in costume, he is. That dude is evil incarnate when he's in full costume, man. Like I walked up and I shook his hand, and like the way he stared at me, I was like, you are just Satan himself. Yeah. I was like, I am not religious at all. I was like, you are the devil.
Yeah.
You know, like Bobby Boucher's mom, like you are the devil.
But you know, I heard that they're like awesome dudes though.
Oh, dude,
because someone we knew worked for them said that they were one of the best bands to work for.
They're super nice. It's just like, you know, when he's all done up in makeup and stuff like that, the persona that he gives off and the energy that he gives off is so fucking awesome.
It's like weird. So like I was never really into them, but then I went to go see them because At the Gates played, and I really like At the Gates.
Oh yeah.
And on that tour, there you go. Yeah. And fucking their stage show, it just blew me away. And then I had
amazing.
Isn't it weird how sometimes there's bands that you're not really into, and then you see them live, and then you feel like you have a new understanding of them, and then you go back and re-listen to it, and you're like, oh wait, this shit's fucking good.
Like you get it.
I get it now. Yeah. And I was like, the amount they put just into their stage show, you can tell how much it like they take it fucking serious. You know what I mean?
We've played with them a couple times, and I mean, I love every second of it.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, I was never really big into. I was never really a big Kiss fan, or like you know any bands that had the big theatrics. But when I got into metal and got into death metal and stuff like that, like there were a couple bands here and there that I'd see that I'm like, holy shit, that's crazy.
Yeah.
When I saw them, it was just a different story. Like I feel like I saw them live for the first time. I want to say it was 2006. I think it was Sounds of the Underground.
Okay.
And dude, I remember watching them, and in my head I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
You know, because that's when they were still doing the Slave Shall Serve song, like you know, blasting that song all the time.
Yeah. When I left that, I really felt like I was at something bad, and I needed to like cleanse myself. I was like, oh man, just fucking.
You know, then you see bands like Watain and stuff like that. They're throwing pig's blood onto the crowd, and like I remember the first time I saw anything crazy like that was Ozfest 2004. I was 15 years old, and OTEP had a pig's head on a mic stand. She literally just put it, like grabbed it and just slammed a pig's head onto a mic stand. Yeah. And I was just like, that's real. I can smell that. That's fucking disgusting. Yeah. But it blew my mind.
Sure, yeah.
You know?
Well, did you ever go see Bad Luck 13 Riot Extravaganza?
I never saw Bad Luck.
Oh, I
was a little too young. Like whenever they would play like Hellfest or something like that, I was just too young.
Yeah, okay. I saw them at Club Hell, and they had a pig's head that they were throwing around. Like, but it's way different when the pig head is involved in the show, and you're in like a 200-person room.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
a whole different fucking experience.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I've seen bands that have thrown fireworks and stuff like that into the crowd, and I mean that's just a different experience, you know. Craig
from he's in Agnostic Front now, was talking about he met the dudes from Watain at one of the European festivals, but they were like Slapshot fans, and he's like,
really?
He said it like freaked them out because they were like, hey man, blah, blah. And they came up to him and he said they were the nicest guys, but they still had all the blood on them. And he goes, dude, they were the nicest guys, but they still smelt of like blood. Like they smelled awful. Like, you know what I mean?
There's definitely a couple bands that we've toured with that just, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I'm definitely not the nicest smelling dude on tour. No, nobody is, but
yeah, but if you're covered in pig's blood,
there's definitely a couple bands where, you know, you walk into a backstage room. Yeah. And immediately you're just like, holy shit, dude. Whose fucking clothes are these?
Yeah. But yeah, how did Fit for an Autopsy come together?
So it's kind of funny. So Pat and Will started the band back in 2007, and you know, there's a couple. Obviously, there's 8 million member changes before we got to the point.
There's always
where we're at
iterations,
now. But yeah, they hit up Nate because Nate Johnson, you know, from Turmoil and Deadwater Drowning and all that stuff was, you know, a friend from New Hampshire. They were like, yo, like let's start a band, let's do this. So. You know, they started recording, started writing, doing all that stuff. And then it got to the point where when I joined in 2013, you know, and they had gone through a couple guitarists and whatnot. And Will got to the point where he was like, hey, listen, like my recording career is like booming right now. You know, and he's literally one of the biggest metal producers in our genre.
Yeah.
Like he's the guy.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where he's like, look, like I can't tour anymore. Like there needs to be a guy that, you know, can tour, like a full-time dude. And, you know, they had a couple guys that toured, you know, in his place, but Will, you know, was still writing and recording and doing all videos and stuff like that. And, you know, when I left, or when my old band broke up, Pat hit me up like 2 months later, and he was just like, because we were mutual friends from, you know, the hardcore scene, and he hit me up 2 months later and was just like, hey, I know you're not touring anymore, so like you're gonna join Fit. And I was just like, the fuck I am? Like, no way. You know, I was like, I'm done touring. Like I just lived in a van for like the last 6 years and it didn't go anywhere. Like I'm fucking good. You know, I'm out on that one. And he's like, look, I'm gonna send you the pre-production stuff that we have for Hellbound. And this is the first record, you know, that I was like, you know, kind of on.
Sure.
And he's like, we have the pre-pro stuff, listen to it, and then get back to me like after the weekend. And I listened to it, and after the first listen, I called him. I was just like, all right, fuck off. Like I'll be in Jersey in a couple weeks. You know? It was just so good. And I was like, holy shit. Because I was a fan of the band before that. Like the band was really good. When they came out with Process of Human Extermination, I loved it. I was like, this is really good. You know, I was a fan, you know?
Sure, yeah.
And I went out to Pat's house when he was living in Jersey, hung out for a couple days, learned some songs, went out with them and kind of had like a tryout run. And after like 2 practices, they're like, all right, you got the job.
Cool.
You know? And, you know, from then, we changed singers a couple times. Nate left, and, you know, we had a couple fill-ins at the time that didn't really work out. We had a kid that came to Europe with us that was just definitely way too young to be touring, and just, you know, was a little green for what we were doing, because we had, realistically, everybody that we toured with, or everybody that was in the band, was well seasoned at that point.
Yeah.
And we were in Australia, and I was just like, man, I was like, do I know anybody? Like singer-wise? And I remember I was like, there's this kid that I ride with, that I hang out with back home. Like, you know, what about him? And he's sung in bands, and, you know, they kind of, they give me shit about it all the time, because I had known this kid for like months and months, or not months, years at that point. Yeah. And they're like, why the fuck have you never brought him up? So that's how Joe got into the band.
Sure,
and, you know, we needed a bassist, and you know, Pat and Will were friends with Blue, who plays in Dysentery and stuff like that. So like he was doing like death metal festivals up in, you know, Boston area and New Hampshire and stuff like that for years. So that's how he joined the band. And it's just like everybody kind of came in certain ways. And, you know, after years and years, now we're at the point where, we are that well-oiled machine, and we're just kind of hitting every single brick wall that they put in front of us. We're hitting it head first.
Yeah, yeah.
And coming up, there will definitely be, obviously it's, eventually it's more music, more touring. We just announced another tour in January that, where we announced a headliner with a bunch of friends bands that were like, all right, this is our first tour back first tour in the States since late 2019. It's going to be January, February of 2022.
Yeah.
It's going to be 2.5 years. We are hitting this as hard as fucking humanly possible.
Yeah. Especially with, you don't know what's looming and if there's going to be more fucking craziness. Because writing's a little bit on the wall that there could be, you know what I mean? And
it sucks, man. And everybody's going through it. And it's cool to see bands starting to play shows again.
Yeah.
And like get a little bit comfortable. But I just hope that nobody gets too comfortable to where they're shutting down tours 6 months from now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's different now too. There's a lot more restrictions like on stuff with touring now. Like, and it's like, Rancid and Dropkicks just did some shows, and I had friends in both bands, and they were like, yeah, they come out to the show. They're like, we can put you guys over here, but like no one can come to the back. They're like, we can't even go into each other's rooms.
Matt from Rancid hit me up and was just like, hey, like come hang out. Like, if you want tickets, like he's like, but I can't hang out because we're in a bubble. And I'm like, damn it.
Yeah. Like, that's what House of Lars was. It was like, we're in a bubble. We can't do anything. And
it was kind of funny. The way that I kind of roundabout met that dude is, so when I first got the job at First, I was in charge of like influencer management, and I still am. Yeah. And it's just finding people that have a big Instagram following that's just like, hey, I'm going to shoot you some product, take pictures of it, put it online, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And it was funny because Matt had been following us for like a long time, and we never followed him back. And I'm like, how did, like the guy that ran the social media before us, I'm like, how did you not know?
How'd you miss that? Yeah.
Like, how'd you miss that? There was a couple people like that. It was like him, one of the dudes from Necrot. Like there was a couple other band guys that were following First, and I'm like, my guys, like, these dudes are in like good bands, decent sized bands, So it was kind of funny. I hit him up and I was like, hey man, if you ever need anything, like just throwing it out there. And he's like, I appreciate it. 6 months later, we came out with these riding jeans, and we have these Kevlar jeans. And he's like, hey, man, can I get a pair of those jeans?
Yeah,
and I was like, yeah, of course. He's like, all right, cool. I'll send you a bunch of Rancid merch.
Yeah.
So I sent him the jeans out, and he sent everybody in the office some merch.
That's
so
cool,
all of us have Rancid shirts and hats and pins and patches and all that stuff.
All the stuff,
Yeah, so it's cool. That's the cool stuff about that job, where it's like, if I can give somebody a vest that they're super stoked on, or if I can give somebody a pair of jeans like that they're super stoked on, and they're going to post about it 500 times, business-wise, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And
just, I know, 100%. And it's not even like a shady, slimy thing. It's like this guy legitimately, it's like if someone was like, fuck that shit, but then you were like, no, here's $5,000. And then they were like, like they legitimately like the product and use it.
Yeah.
That's all, like, to me, above the board and fair game. Like, like Roger from AF, like, on the did you see the New York Godfathers of Hardcore?
Yeah, of course.
He's wearing a Chophead hat and the whole fucking thing.
I know.
And I was like, Ian was at the point where he's like, I had to tell him to take it off sometimes. You know what I mean? But he's a friend, and he just repped, and he loves it. You know what I mean? And it's like, I didn't pay him for that, and I actually felt self-conscious about it. I was like, dude, he's wearing it so much, I feel like people are going to think I paid him to fucking do it. And I was like, no, it's just my brother, my boy. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
friends should support friends like that.
Absolutely.
Friends should definitely be, and especially like, he has a platform, I have a platform.
Yeah.
And if you support a company, it's just like, I want to make sure that the companies that I like do well.
Yeah, of course.
So in the back of his mind, he was probably like, I'm going to wear a Chopperhead shirt because, or a Chopperhead hat because, I like this. This is my homie. This is my dude. I'm going to support him, and I'm going to show everybody about it.
Yeah, and that's how we do it. And it's like literally, a lot of the people at the beginning when I have sponsors, like I just trade. Like I'm not getting. It's not like I'm getting, there's a couple that pay, but some of them are trades, like, you know what I mean? Because they're old friends, like, you know what I mean? But always, like, I never understood like where people were weird about like supporting other people, because it's like you bring someone else up, it brings everything up.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it's like you everyone can come up and there's room at the table for everybody. But when people get weird and shit, like it's like, all right, well, you're not someone I really want to be involved with business wise or anyway, you know what I mean? 'Cause it's a character flaw, you know?
Yeah. So like me and Pat have a mutual friend down in Texas that does a podcast. It's Fast Life Podcast, Jace.
Okay. Yep.
So his podcast is massive, you know, and I just met him a couple months ago at a friend's, house, like right before my friend's wedding. Like they were riding through, they were doing Texas to Maine and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, I shot a message out on Facebook and I was like, hey, does anybody do podcast editing? Because I want to get my podcast bigger.
Yeah.
And he turns around and he's just like, man, he's like, shoot me a call. And we talked on the phone for an hour, hour and a half. And he's like, look, he's like, realistically, the more everyone helps each other and the bigger that this genre gets, everybody's going to eat. Yeah. And everybody eats. Yeah. Whereas you have guys that we work with in, even bands. There's certain bands that are so cutthroat that are like, they don't want to help anybody out.
Yeah.
But what sucks about that is just like, hey, if the genre gets bigger, everybody benefits. Yeah. So why be a dick about it? Why try to sabotage someone else's business? Why try to downplay it? Listen, I get competition. And if somebody's a dick just for no reason, then sure.
Open season.
Put your foot down, open season. 100%.
Yeah.
But like if there aren't reasons to be a dick, why are you going to do that? Yeah. It doesn't make sense. Just like he said, like, yo, everybody's going to, if we all work together and everybody skyrockets, we're all going to eat. Yeah.
And it's like you said earlier off mic, like before we started, like, the shoulders you step on your way up are the shoulders you're going to step on your way down.
And it's
like, and everyone's going to remember that, like, because it was like you were being a dick, and now everything got bigger, and now you could come on tour with us. But remember when you fucking did this? Exactly. Sorry, bud. You know what I mean?
I can't tell you how many times, like, we've turned down tours where it's just like, I never want to tour with that band again. Yeah. Like that band made me feel like a total piece of shit. Like I was not even human.
Yeah, that's lame.
And it's just like, dude, I don't want to tour with you. I remember what it was like touring with you, and I just don't want to do that. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's like, this isn't like Elton John level fucking shit. Dude. Exactly. We're like in these like subgenres.
If I was touring with Metallica, I'm like, listen, you can call me whatever the fuck you want. Yeah, exactly. I don't care.
Yeah, you're putting me in front of fucking 70,000 people. That's a little different.
I don't care.
When we're all playing rooms of like a couple thousand or whatever, that's a little
couple hundred.
A couple hundred.
Like I've been treated like utter dog shit from guys that are headlining and like not selling out rooms, but like they're drawing maybe 400 people. Yeah. There's been bands that we've toured with where like, they themselves as a headliner are drawing 200 people. Their direct support's drawing 800 people. So it looks like the room's filled. Yeah. It's like, oh, there's 1,000 people here. That's crazy. And obviously those box office numbers go towards the headlining band. Yeah. But when that direct support band leaves,
half the room's gone,
more than half. Yeah. And you got 150 people sitting in that room. Like, you don't get to tell me that I can't go to the bathroom. You don't get to tell me that like I can't use the backstage bathroom. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, just pettiness is like whatever.
Yeah. It's so unnecessary.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I kind of just want to make sure, like, hey, just don't be a dick. Like those are literally rules to live by. Just don't be a dick. Be cool, and everybody will have a good time.
Yeah. And I don't know. To me, it's like it's so common sense that it's like it sucks that you even have to talk about it with people. And I've had this conversation on and off mic with plenty of people in different genres of the world, and it bothers me more. I don't know why. Like if I walked into like some like consulting company or some like financial management company and someone's a dick in there, whatever. Yeah. But it bothers me more when it's someone involved in one of like our subcultures.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? We're all all in this.
We're from the same world. You know what I mean? Cut from the same cloth. Yeah. And it's like why step outside of the box and why be a dick? And what's funny to me also is that you now have people that are growing older, right? That listen to hardcore bands and listen to the lyrics, and we're screaming the lyrics of certain hardcore bands about equality and treating people nice and not being a dick. And everybody's like, yo, we're all from the same, we're all outcasts.
Yeah, yeah.
To being like, you know, these fucking dickheads that, you know, that are like in their 40s and 50s. It's like they turned into
what they were against.
That group of people that they were against in the long run. It's just like, nah, bro.
There's a lot of that going on in a lot of different ways in our in our subcultures. Like people grew up one way and now they're like mainstreaming it a little bit.
Yeah,
and it's like, dude, when did you fucking flip the coin a little bit?
Exactly.
There?
You know, being anti-government and all that stuff. Now that, you know, everything that they post is pro-government or pro one side. I'm just like, bro, come on.
Yeah, I stay out of all of it. Well, I don't stay out of all of it. That's what happens, and I aggravate people, and I'm like, I don't know, fucking whatever, dude.
Whatever, bro.
I just make sure I do it on my thing, not on the job head page.
You gotta keep it to your personal. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, but you know how it is, dude. Like sometimes, like your personal and your business stuff, like it's so intertwined that you can't really. It does, you know.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like even, you know, I run a motorcycle page and stuff like that, and like a lot of people in the motorcycle world, you know, think a certain way, and I'm just like, guys, like I remember when my dad was telling me stories about, you know, people in the 70s and 80s and like bikers and like shit like that, like. Yo, bikers used to be so fucking anti-government back in the, like fuck the government, blah 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 blah, fuck the police, fuck the man, like all that shit. And now everybody flips the script as soon as they hit like 50. They're like, nah, you know. I'm like, come on, bro.
I don't know, and I think it's maybe because I don't know. Like I know I got some years on you, just age wise, like. But we still stay in the worlds.
Yeah, of course.
And we haven't gone into regular worlds too much, you know what I mean? And it's like, you know, my life is still motorcycles and tattoos and dumb shit, you know what I mean?
And music.
And music, yeah. You know? And so it's like, you know, I kept those ideals, you know, but I think I didn't keep the ideals because I stayed in this shit. Yeah. I stayed in this shit because I kept those ideals, you know what I mean? And it was like, you know, I still feel that way. Like when I go, like I have anxiety when I go out, even into like when I have to go to like Target to get supplies for the tattoo shop or something.
Exactly.
I'm like, oh, like I don't want to have to go deal in the regular world. It sucks.
Yeah.
And it's not anything like made up. It's like a literal like this real like, oh fuck, I don't want to go there. You know what I mean?
But it's like, also that stigma of like how we look, how we dress, you know, how we carry ourselves and stuff like that as you know. As you could say, outcasts. Yeah, you know.
Even though that's become more mainstream,
it is. It really is. Yeah.
I still remember when a tattoo on the neck meant like, don't fuck with that dude.
Seriously,
you know.
Seriously.
Now it's like kids' first tattoo,
face tattoos,
my hands in my hands. Yeah. The problem is now that people are getting face tattoos, and I saw the best meme ever. The best meme ever. Where like they were showing some of like all like those like Xanax rap kids, and their face tattoos, and it was like, and then they'd show people passed out at a party and who got their face drawn on, and it's like the same shit for the most part.
They look like the desk in a high school, high school desk or a bathroom wall or some shit, you know. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think that it's just it all comes down to going back to the whole. You know, ideals thing. It's just like, hey man, don't be a dick. Yeah. You know, that's it. You know, everybody's included. Everybody's welcome. Like, you know, it's just like hardcore shows. Yeah. You know,
nah, and
except dickheads. No dickheads allowed. Yeah. No bozos.
Yeah. The problem is like even the last, I don't know, like I go to like a lot of shows, and I'll go to a lot of metal shows. And like, you know, I'll go to death metal and whatever genre metal shows, but I'm not as active in the metal scene, so I don't know how it is. But in the hardcore scene, the divisiveness we're seeing in mainstream society, we're seeing that in the hardcore scene.
It's starting, it's starting.
And I didn't know if it's
over.
Is it doing that in the metal world as well? Like,
I mean, I guess I haven't really been to a show.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
In a year and a half. So like,
but even just like the chatter online and stuff,
it's still like you still get guys that, I mean, me personally, I'll see friends that are either in the motorcycle world or you know the metal and hardcore world where like now people are becoming a little bit more outspoken on certain things and stuff like that. And I'm just like, listen, I think everybody's entitled to an opinion. Just don't be a dick. Yeah. And it all boils down to that.
Yeah. You know, and I try to make a very, I tried to make a post that was very neutral in tone.
Yeah.
And on that same lines, like, you can believe whatever you want, and we can still be friends.
Of course.
And then I got all kinds of people being dicked and jerked off and dicky about it. I'm like, yo, what the fuck, man?
Well,
and then
like,
it's
think of it this way. Think of it this way. Circling back to the social media thing. The reason why social media does so well is because everybody has a voice.
Yeah.
Everybody's voice is technically heard. You know, so
or seen,
exactly. So when we were kids, you know, all of our parents are like, you know, make sure your voice is heard. Like, you want to be, you know, don't just stand to the wayside. And we were always taught, like, you know, you're important in this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah.
And now it's to the point where, like, people have that. Everybody has a soapbox.
Yeah.
So people will get up on that soapbox and just spew bullshit.
Yeah.
And it's just like, shut the fuck up.
You
know?
Yeah. Well, you know, it's people, man. And that's the problem with people is, like, there's all kinds, you know.
You got 7 billion plus people in this world, and that means that there's 7 billion plus opinions.
Yeah. And
they all suck.
A significant amount of them are people are dicks, you know
Exactly,
what I mean?
exactly.
But that just makes, like, when you meet the good people, that makes it even better. You know
Dude,
what I mean?
love it.
You
I
know
love
what I
it.
mean?
When you find people, and it's kind of, you kind of get taken aback by it. When you find people that are just genuinely nice.
Yeah.
You know, people that are, you know, you're walking down the street and you're like, oh my God, I love your hair. Or, you know, hey, that's an awesome shirt. And they're not being a dick. They're not just fucking with you.
Yeah.
You know,
not being sarcastic or ironic.
Yeah, exactly. Like we are. You know,
but I would do it. But see, but like for me, busting balls is a term of endearment. Like,
same thing with me.
You know what I mean? So it's the same. Yeah.
Being from Mass and being from
New York,
like the Northeast is just built different.
Yeah, it is.
You know, our term of endearment is go fuck yourself. Like it's a laugh. It's a funny thing.
Yeah.
Or if you tell that to somebody in Texas, it is on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's when you come across people that are just genuinely nice.
Yeah.
It's kind of heartwarming, man. It's kind of it gets you to that point where, like, wow, like, you know, the world isn't total dog shit.
Sure, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and it always makes me not like jealous, but it's like something to aspire to, you know what I mean?
It really is.
Yeah. Because, you know, I don't know, like if I had to explain, like in general, I feel like I'm a pretty nice guy, but I just have a short fuse.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
You know, a lot of I know a lot of dudes, and you and me both have a lot of mutual friends and stuff like that. That same shit, man. They're the best people in the world, and they just have that short fuse.
Well, you know what it is? It's all based on respect.
Of course.
Because if I'm out and I'm being respectful to someone and they're not, it just flips a switch, 100%. And it's like, all right, I'll go in a complete like fuck you. You know what I mean? So then people they only see that side because that's the more loud side of things. So they see that and then they're like, oh, this dude must just be a fucking dick all the time.
Yeah. Well, it's like, no, like,
but it's also good. Then it keeps people away. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You know, I've noticed that the louder I am and the more New York that comes out. Yeah. The more New York that comes out is definitely like, you know, oh wow, like I want to stay away from this dude. You know, you get your loud mouth. I mean, especially like me and Pat on tour. Yeah. You know, Pat's from Jersey. I'm from New York. Me and him just feed off of each other. Yeah. Especially in live settings, and we're in the middle of nowhere in the country. We're in fucking Oklahoma. Yeah. You know, and I turn around and I'm screaming from the van into the venue, "Go fuck yourself!" And they're like, you know, what's the deal? I mean, even check this out. I'll touch on this, and Pat over here will laugh about it. So we went down. So we're friends with Mark from Lexan. Lexan makes the comms for the helmets. Yeah, great dude, awesome fucking dude. We went down for his bachelor party down in Myrtle Beach. A bunch of these dudes rode down. I drove the van down with my bike. So we're riding around, we're hanging out, and me and Pat, we literally work together, and then after work we hang out. Yeah, you know, so we're with each other all the fucking time. Yeah. And you know, so me and him just bust each other's balls constantly.
And people just walking in don't understand like the shared history of it.
They don't get it.
Because busting balls is such an art that it like builds off. Like it'll build for years of inside jokes of ball busting that, you know, if someone walks in and they don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about. Exactly. But you guys don't even, you know, I get it.
And there was a dude down there that went to Mark and you know, now we're friends with this dude. He turns around, he's just like, yo, like, is there going to be a problem? Like, does Pat and Tim hate each other? Yeah. And they're like, no, they're literally best friends.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just the way we talk to each other.
Yeah. No.
Where you know, it's a term of endearment.
Absolutely.
It's the way you talk. It's the way that you can not get in. You can say the worst possible things and not get under someone's skin.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And that's a different level of respect that you have for certain people.
Absolutely. And that's like a earned
yes
type of thing.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
So you come in,
Yeah.
that's where it gets tricky for people because they think they can come in and do it and be like,
Yeah.
"Who the fuck are you?" What?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
boom,
Like if
you
somebody talked to him if somebody talked to him
the way you talk to
I talk to him
and vice versa,
there would be a fucking massive problem.
Yeah.
And the same thing with my band guys.
Yeah.
You know, like if we're on tour and I hear a venue guy talk to my band guys a certain way.
Yeah.
Oh, bro.
Yeah.
Same thing. Like Pat loses it. He's just like immediately will shut that dude down.
Yeah.
You know, just because it's like you don't talk to him I can talk to him that way.
Yeah.
You don't talk to him.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you had a kid, right, and you're yelling at your kid, and some random stranger started yelling at your kid, you'd knock him the fuck out. You'd knock
don't yell at my kid.
Exactly. Don't yell at my fucking kid.
Yeah.
You know, don't yell at my fucking brother.
Yeah.
You know.
What's going on with the podcast? I know you had a little bit of a hiatus, but
Yep.
it sounds like you're ramping back up.
Yeah, so like I enjoy conversations. I enjoy hanging out with friends. I enjoy talking about life, talking about stories. Stories are hilarious to me.
Yeah.
You know, and I like hearing about that stuff, but I'm on the opposite side of it. I'm always the one like doing interviews and being that figure and being that, you know, person that people want to listen to.
Yeah.
So I want to give that voice to either my friends or other people, you know, so that they can tell their stories. Yeah. You know, and I started it last year. I did 4 episodes and it went off really great. But I literally I put out my 4th episode and then the week after I started working at first.
Yeah.
You know, so like doing the 9 to 5 thing and having to get up at, you know, it's an hour to work, an hour home.
Yeah.
By the time I get home, like I don't want to do anything.
No, I get it.
You know, so now it's to the point where I'm like, all right.
We're here a Sunday afternoon and you're coming.
Exactly.
I'm at my shop. You're coming from work. You know what I mean? And we're doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's the only time we can do it. It's like,
exactly. You know, get it done. And, you know, it's cool to be able to just, you know, talk with friends. So I eventually I do want to ramp it up to where it's like, all right, I'm putting out a couple episodes a month. You know, just for fun. You know, it's not like a money grab. It's not going to be like, I'm not trying to be Tom Segura making, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
These guys, like, there's like,
dude,
the weirdest thing about podcasts is that it's like you said, everyone's got a voice now.
Yes.
And anyone can, and equipment is fairly affordable.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people can get in different levels of degrees of quality of both of content and also sound quality and whatnot. But it's very easy to rise, you know, above like most of the fray. Yeah. But then there's like this big, huge jump.
Oh,
like, like a lot of like, you know, and I'm not saying this to brag or anything because literally this is, I'm not, no way am I anywhere near being able to live off this podcast. Yes. But most episodes chart in the top 20% of all podcasts.
That's awesome.
So, which is a good place to get to. But to get from 20% to 10% is massive jump.
Well, it's just
and
like
then from the
bands.
10 to 5%, it's massive jump. And then to be in like that Tom Segura, Joe Rogan space is nearly impossible.
Of course.
You know what I mean? So
like we have a couple friends that are in bigger bands and stuff like that, you know, they're trying to make it to the point where like they're selling out amphitheaters. Yeah. But they want to make it to arenas.
Sure, yeah.
So like,
but you always got to have that goal, or you're not gonna.
But it's fucking hard.
Yeah.
You know, and these dudes are explaining it to us like, you know, on a real level. And obviously I feel it because I'm in a band, you know, trying to make it to, you know, a couple steps behind them. Yeah. You know, so them trying to jump to the arena, to the not arenas. Sorry, they're selling out arenas and amphitheaters. They want to jump to stadiums. Yeah. I mean, dude, going from a 15,000 cap room, selling out a 15,000 cap room to selling out a 45,000, you know, football stadium, you know, with at least with the half stadium or something like that, or 70,000. Yeah. That's a fucking massive jump. Yeah. That's a lot of people, man. Yeah. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of moving parts, and it's hard.
Especially now, like, because it seems like So like how did fucking Metallica do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, cause like how, like, cause metals,
they did it early.
They did it early. It's different time. And,
yes.
And they had the benefit of social media not really being there because people had to be at events.
Yes.
You want to see the band, you can't just watch it on YouTube. You have to be there.
You have you have that. And on top of that, it wasn't oversaturated.
Yeah.
So like when you had bands, you know, but like those bands that did well regionally, somebody would pick them up and, you know, say, hey, I'm going to sign you to a 7-year developmental deal.
Yeah.
Or sorry, so a 7-record developmental deal, you know, where it's just like, I mean, they did that up until like the late 90s, early 2000s. And then, you know, it got to the point where there were so many bands because like you said, with the podcasting equipment, a kid can go to Sam Ash right now and get recording equipment for like $1,000 and put out a quality product.
Oh yeah.
So crazy. You have all these bands that are coming out with like decent quality music, you know, right out of the gate. And it's like, all right, well, you know, things just got oversaturated. Same thing with touring. Like there was so many tours for such a long time. And like, you know, when people are like, hey, like, I want to start touring. What's your advice? And I'm like, don't, you know, because it's kind of like a little thing. I'm like, dude, stop. I don't want any more bands. Like, you know,
No, I
want the amount of bands to shrink.
So
that the bands that are doing well get propelled way more.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah. Yeah, no, it just seems weird now, like with like, you know, metal and stuff like that. It's harder to like break out because like, I don't know, like, you know, it just seems like, this is dating, but I don't know what kids are into now. Like this, it's weird, dude. You know what I mean? There's a lot of weird shit out there.
It's hard. Like even being full-fledged into the world, like it's hard to find what people are into and the trends that people are into. Yeah. But hey man, you gotta find it at some level.
It does. Yeah. Dude, I'll say too, I was surprised when I went to that Behemoth show. I was like, where'd all these motherfuckers come from? There's like people listen to that. Like, I'm like, who the fuck are all these people? Where'd they come from? Like, cause I've never seen these motherfuckers at any show and I'm in like my town, you know what I mean? And I'm like, it's crazy. But I think they just have like, certain bands have like cult like followings where they'll come out and follow them like through the region.
There's a lot of bands like that where these people will only listen to 5 bands. Yeah. And that's it.
Yeah.
They won't expand. They won't go to shows. They won't do this, that, and the other thing. All they'll do is they'll go out, they'll listen to these same bands. And the only way that they find bands is if those bands tour with the bands that they already listen to.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't actively search music.
Yeah.
You know, so it gets hard, man. It gets real hard.
Yeah. And that's what it seems too, like with everything that could be cool to help with the oversaturation, it gets tough. Like, for example, like if you listen, like say, you know, I feel like Spotify does a decent job of like creating playlists for you based on what you listen to. Yeah. And most of the time what they throw in, sometimes I'm surprised. I'm like, what the hell is this? And then I go look it up. I'm like, oh, this is fucking good. And I like it. You know what I mean? But sometimes it's just too much. And it's like, what is all this? You know what I mean? Like you don't even know what to look, you know, for, because there's so much content out there now. You know, it's,
well, with everything, you know, it's a flash in the pan, you know, and if you don't find something to stick to and ride out, you don't find that wave to stick onto and ride out. Yeah. You're literally just you're gonna pop in and pop out. Yeah. There's been so many bands over the last 15 years of me doing this, 15, 20 years of like, I've seen bands come in for like a year and then they're out. Yeah. They're like literally done. Yeah. You know, and
it's unfortunate.
You know, the faster you come in, the faster you go out. Yeah. You know, and I've seen bands come in and like literally right out of the gate, they're like headlining, you know, tours like Summer Slaughter or something like that. This is back in the mid 2000s. Yeah. You know, and they come in and it's like, oh, this band is headlining. And then a year and a half, 2 years later, they're done. Like straight done. Yeah. And I'd rather the slow build. Yeah. Because I know that the slower we build up is the slower the fallout is.
Yeah. And the more you retain. Yeah. Because you're building like fans that are invested almost. Whereas like some stuff like that's like a flash in the pan, it might be a fluke, and then all kinds of people like them, and then they don't come with anything else, and then it goes and you know, whatever. Like, it's always been like that kind of in music too, though.
Yeah. Especially with pop music and stuff like that. Yeah. You know, you get people that are in for a couple of years and then they're out. Yeah. You know, they get in, they make their money, especially dude, culture vultures. Culture vultures.
Oh, yeah.
You know, especially in the motorcycle world and the
Any
music world.
Yeah.
They'll come in, make their money for a couple years, and then cash out.
Yeah, and then go to the next thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it kind of sucks when you see people in the scene that don't they don't invest time into the culture.
Yeah.
They don't invest their time into stuff like that. You know, even with us going up to Maine for this trip and coming back here, it's just like, you know, I wanted to go up there. Like, it's not an expense trip. Like, we're going up there, we're spending our own cash, we're hanging out, doing the thing. We're just chilling, you know, and that's that, you know, hey, I'm investing my time in order to help the culture and like go out and like do campouts and do stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I know that there's like, you know, 20, 30, 40 dudes that are in that just bought their brand new Sportster or brand new Dyna.
And you won't see them next year. Yeah.
You're not going to see them anytime at any other motorcycle event because they're going to come in, they have their fun, and then they get the fuck out.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and
we call them tourists too. Like
yeah,
tourists,
yeah, exactly.
And it's cool.
Yeah,
as long as they're cool and respectful about it, and they know, you know. Some people get a little high and mighty right out of the gate, and I'm like, who the fuck are you?
Listen, except for those guys that rev their fucking engines at 3 o'clock in the morning and hit the rev limiter, and you know, it's just like, fucking come on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, some people, I'm sure there's a lot of substances going around that fueled a lot of fires. You know what I mean? That's part and parcel for any motorcycle type event.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, no one's invented soundproof tents. But there you go. Like that would be a good.
If somebody
hit up First Manufacturing, get that going, man.
If Coleman
for
is
the motorcycle industry,
oh my god, imagine if Coleman or was it Ozark, whatever the fucking tents are called, if they figured out a way to soundproof tents, to where they folded up properly. I had to wear earplugs. Yeah, I wore earplugs to bed. I was like, I'm done. I'm old.
Yeah,
I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah, no, I remember, man. We used to go fucking nuts all the time, man. It's that's what used to be the funnest part about motorcycle shows was the general lawlessness.
Yes,
because that was a lawless crowd. You know what I mean?
Of course.
And you know, it's you know, things change sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what do you anything going on with the podcast that you plan on bringing back, like anything else that you just sound like you're just going to bring it back to do stuff a little more consistent, but just more for fun? Like, so
like what I plan on doing with it is like, you know, I put it out through Tombstone and stuff like that. So like, you know, it's just another avenue for Tombstone to make a little extra cash or whatever. Yeah. So I might do a little bit of merch. I might do a little bit of this, that, and the other thing. But, you know, I'll probably just end up hitting up friends of mine saying, hey, come on, let's just shoot the shit for a couple hours. And then you can go home. Or, you know, I mean, most of the time it's probably going to be via Skype. You know, like we were talking about before. So you can do a video element to it? Yeah, I really want to do a video element to it. Yeah. You know, because if I can, you know, take my streaming setup, because I stream on Twitch sometimes too. Okay. If I can take that stream setup and I can have my camera and their camera side by side, and we could have that full conversation, I'll do that all day. Yeah. You know? Because I've been toying with that. Like, I just do the traditional audio only. Yeah. And like, I know when you do things online, like if or through the phone, it's a lot easier to do like the video stuff if you're Skyping or Zoom or whatever thing you're using. But it's hard when like here, you know, set up the cameras, and then now you got to really edit and sync up the sound, and you know, so that's when I need somebody, you know what I mean? And, it's hard because that's when like I can edit this because I don't really. The trick to editing is to not have to edit. You know what I mean? Like, exactly. Unless someone says, "Hey, really, can you take that out?" Because I'm not good at editing, like, but I can do it. But I do it in like GarageBand. You know what I mean? You know, I use Audacity. Like I'm not paying for shit. Like But yeah. So it's like the same type of thing. But you know, it is what it is. But like I feel like when you're on YouTube. You know, when I just have like the audio with like a logo, it's not as good as some people actually want to watch. For exactly, you know, it's different when you're watching and you can get a feel for body language. Yeah, you know, a conversation is the conversation is good and the content's good. Yeah, but like when people can see how sincere you actually are when you're talking about a subject that you're passionate about, you know, that's a world of difference. Sure, yeah, you know, and then it is good too, like because. Sometimes when I do things on the phone, like I'm not a phone guy. Yeah. And then when I'm not seeing somebody, it still feels weird. Like it's still like decent conversations. Yeah. But it's not
maybe I should go over to Skype for some of these things.
Yeah, it's definitely fun, and setting up your camera to the point where it's like, all right, well, I'm using Streamlabs and Skype or Zoom or whatever it may be. If your camera's set up at the same time, the same way, every time, it's like, it's whatever. You make a little corner for yourself in the shop, or and mine's in my bedroom, so it's easy.
Oh yeah. What plans you got going on with the band? Like, I know you guys can record anytime soon, or you got anything in the works?
So we do definitely have new music in the works. Can't really elaborate on that too much.
Sure, yeah.
The usual.
Yeah.
But there definitely will be new music next year.
Yeah.
There's definitely going to be, obviously we just announced that tour.
Yeah.
In January, it's our first headliner in, almost 3 years. So, that's going on. So it's going to be trust me, 2022 is going to be a fucking machine.
Yeah.
And we are literally, like I said, we are hitting every single brick wall that's put in front of us head first.
Yep.
So I feel bad for anybody that's just like, oh no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
We're steamrolling right fucking through them.
Fuck, I can't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Dude, what the good thing about your podcast is too, is that you're on the road a lot. You know a lot of people. You have access to a lot of people. But you're also a good conversationalist, and people are going to feel comfortable around you. So you already got a leg up. It's not like walking in. It's like, for me, it's always weird, like, especially when I've had some of the science guys on or something, with people I don't know, like doing these like cold calls, and like,
it's hard.
Because a lot of them have just been, 98% of the podcasts have been like friends of mine, you know what I mean? So it's kind of easy to jump in, but when you get some of the ones that are like I got a couple in the works that like where I don't really know the people, but I'm familiar with their work, you know what I mean? That becomes a little harder, and especially if it's over the phone. It's like way less personal.
Yeah, you don't get that. You don't get that body language. You don't get a feel for the conversation. So it's definitely way harder. And
you're more apt to kind of like step on each other a little bit more, like because there's no nonverbal communication going on.
Yeah, and you're not looking at somebody, figuring out when they're going to stop talking.
Exactly.
So that's the hard part about podcasting and just doing audio if you're doing it over the call.
Yeah.
And I was doing that, like the first couple episodes, I had to edit out so much stuff because like we'd either talk over each other or like, I would start on a new question while they're still answering the old one. And it was a nightmare, man.
Yeah. See, that's the one thing I don't do is like I don't get in there, and I know some people will take out all their stammers, all their like what I just did.
Yeah.
I leave all the ugliness of myself in there. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. It's fun, man. I love doing this shit just because, like I've said before, even when it's somebody, and I'm sure you found this or will find it, like even someone that's an old friend of yours, you have them on the podcast. You're having a conversation, but it's a different dynamic. And you're going to learn shit about people that you've known for a long time.
Yep.
And they might learn shit about you or whatever, but it's fucking cool, man.
Yeah.
Like,
it's fun to be able, and even people that you loosely know, it's fun to actually sit down and have a conversation with them and talk and shoot the shit, for an hour and a half, however long it may be. And I know, like, same thing. Like, I watch other podcasts that'll go into the 4 fucking hour range.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't know if I could ever do that. Like, I don't know if I could ever talk that long.
You can, man. Like, I've had a significant amount of mine have been like the 3 hour mark.
Jeez.
Those happen to be more, usually that's more like the in-person ones.
Yeah.
And with old friends or whatever.
Of course.
But, a lot of times people, it's like a weird thing too, because figuring out, sometimes people get like, oh man, like they're more hesitant to start listening because they're like, I don't get 3 hours. I'm like, break it up, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like,
listen to half of it now and half of it later.
I do that, you know what I mean? And I like having long form type open conversations because you never know where shit's gonna go.
It's true.
And yeah, it just is what it is. And some of the podcasts I listen to, some are like an hour, some are 3 hours. I've listened to a couple of 4 hours, but I only really listen to them when I'm like driving.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Oh yeah,
I can't sit.
I listen to them. I listen to them like while I'm working, like at home or something like that on leather work. I'll put it on in the background.
Yeah,
my cousins were talking to me about this psychopathic shit where they listen to podcasts that are super long at like 2 times speed.
Oh yeah, so
Like
they can get it in quicker.
Yeah, exactly. So they listen to it double speed. I'm like, what do you like? How do you listen to that?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, the guy sounds like he's at the end of a fucking toy commercial or a car commercial on the radio,
or a pharmaceutical commercial when they go through all the list of possible side effects, and they start talking this fast and blah, 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 blah. Yeah,
it's miserable. I'm like, I could never do that.
But I guess if you're just fucking starving for content, you get it in a lot quicker. You know, you get more in. But then at what point do you become a slave to what you're trying to listen to? You know what I mean? Like I don't get time for that shit.
I don't have time for that shit either.
Fucking all right, man. Well, I know you guys are probably anxious to get on the road because it's what time is it? You know, we're getting there. We're getting there a little late.
6:30.
Yeah, you guys probably got 2-3 hours more.
Yeah, it said 4 hours home. So.
Oh, maybe because of traffic.
Maybe
because I know I've made it to Amityville a lot quicker than that.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna push it. So hopefully we can get home in 2.5 hours.
Yeah, fucking.
You know, hit the road doing like 90.
There you go. These transit vans will handle it. They do it, man. They do it. But yeah, anything else that we haven't?
I mean, I feel like that's about it.
Yeah.
You know, and if there's that's the thing. You're so close where I could just be like, you know what, I'm going up for the weekend.
Yeah, come up.
You know,
and
I come up, I'll ride up, I'll hang out, and we can bullshit again.
Well, like I said, we get Pat on.
Yeah, we gotta get Pat on here.
Fuck
we gotta get Pat on here next time.
Yeah.
You know.
And like I said, I come up there, whatever. You know,
Dude,
I'm up there.
Come down to Long Island anytime you want.
I'm up there sometimes anyway. You know, and like I said, you're like 2 blocks from the venue that we go to.
Not even, dude. Not even. I'm literally like, if you're in the back of AMH. You can see my house.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you know what the just a parting note because it has to do with Amityville. Of course, like I had to do some tourist shit and go to the Amityville Horror House.
Everybody.
Amityville Horror House. That's just like a house on a regular street.
Yeah.
Like
it's
in a
nice,
neighborhood.
It's a nice neighborhood.
Like I thought like from the movie, it seemed like the house was kind of secluded. So did it get developed in that area a little bit more?
Well, so check this out. So Ronnie DeFeo killed his family in the house.
Yeah.
There was always houses around there. Like there was always houses. Like that neighborhood's been there forever.
Yeah.
You know. Obviously there were less houses back then, but there were always houses around.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And basically the family that moved in after them said that there was, you know, there's spirits in the walls and the walls were bleeding and all this shit. They sold that story to the guy that wrote the book.
Yeah.
The movie was based off of the book.
Yeah.
You know, so like there was a kind of a game of telephone of all this shit happening.
Yeah.
And then movie after movie after movie. And it gets to the point where it's like, oh, it's a lake house. You know, there's nobody around for miles. And it's just like, nah, dude. It's like,
it's
you know,
literally
like you got a shared driveway.
Yeah,
with
that's what I'm saying.
House.
Yeah. Like you could hand a cup of sugar over to your neighbor through the windows.
Yeah, you could literally toss, you know, a mug to your neighbor for a cup
it's not a secluded like lake house. Yeah, that's why I was like, that's what was surprising to me. But it's funny that they left the windows, you know, because that's like the telltale sign of that.
So they changed the windows. They changed the windows a while back to try and sell the house, I believe.
Okay.
And that's that house in that neighborhood. If that house didn't have the stigma to it, that house would go for like $800,000 to $900,000.
Really?
I think it sold for like $625,000 like 8-9 years ago.
Yeah.
Because just the stigma with it.
Stigma of the house.
And you get people coming up wanting to take photos and stuff that. There's people that knock on the door like, I want to come inside, and the family's like, fuck off. Yeah. Oh, fuck that. Oh, hell no. Like, I didn't even think about that. I think you could take that and turn it into like a weird like Airbnb thing, you know. But the town would definitely shoot it down.
Yeah.
Nah, everybody in the neighborhood's like, yo, fuck off.
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine.
They get people on the corner. There's fucking, you know, people in the neighborhood that run them off. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
You know, they're calling the cops on these fucking people that are just taking pictures all the time.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be kind of a general nuisance. You know
100%, especially around Halloween time.
Oh, but it's one thing to stop and take a picture real quick. It's another thing to knock on the fucking door and be like, hey, can I come into your house?
Yeah, there's people that snoop around the property and like shit like that. It's like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, fuck that shit.
You know?
Well, you know, if you go there, drive by, take a picture quick. Don't bother nobody.
Yeah. Don't be a dick.
Out. Don't be a dick. Don't be a tour. I'm not gonna lie. We took a picture. You know what I mean?
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Of course, you got to.
We weren't fucking loitering and fucking.
Dude, when I went out to LA, I took a picture. I showed him. He was out in California with me for the first time. We went past like the American Horror Story house.
Okay, yeah.
We went past the Nightmare on Elm Street house.
Yep.
Like we took a quick picture and then we dipped.
Then you keep
we
it
took
going,
a picture from the car. And you keep it moving.
Yeah,
you don't get out, knock on a fucking door, being like, "Oh, what's the inside look like?"
Because guaranteed, that was a movie set. They only used the fucking front of the house for exterior shots.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not like they filmed it in the fucking house.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean?
Dude, same shit. Fucking Home Alone, the first Home Alone.
Yeah.
The exterior of the house, they only used the exterior of that house. The interior of the house was built on a set inside of a public school that was shut down.
Yeah.
Dude, I watched a whole documentary about it. It's crazy. They built the basement where the water comes up in the basement. They built that in the pool in the high school.
Yeah. It's crazy how like I'm such a fucking sucker for like, even if it's a movie I don't give a shit about.
Yeah.
If someone shows you the process of how something was done, I fucking love watching that shit.
Yeah. Well, dude, that's why you fucking build bikes. You love the process.
The process, yeah.
You know?
I also I'm a sucker for like the documentaries about bands and like watching the rise of a band and then the utter destruction of the band.
Oh,
like, I don't know why.
How it just falls apart.
Yeah, and I always feel bad about it. Like, even if it's a band I do not give a fuck about, I just like looking at how shit comes together and how it moves because it's always interesting. Because
it's very interesting.
Yeah. Well, hell yeah. Well, fuck yeah, man. I'll let you guys get on the road, man. I know you guys are itching. Thanks again for coming out.
Anytime.
What's the social medias that people can find out more information about what you're going on? Because now there's going to be like a list of 10 of them.
Yeah, let me fire everything off. So you can find my personal Instagram. It's just at I am Tim Howley. I work for a company called First Manufacturing. It's just at First MFG Co. I own a company called Tombstone Hardware, Thrash and Throttle Podcast, South Shore Leatherworks, and I do 8 million other things. So I'm sure if you go to my personal page, you can find all that stuff. You know, everybody knows by now that I'm in a band called Fit for an Autopsy. So you can do all that stuff.
I'll put the links to all the social medias for all these things in the show notes as well. For people, so you don't have to remember it all, but just click on the show notes and you'll see all that there. But yeah, man, thank you, and fucking we'll talk soon, man.
Party.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.